Good evening, meteorologist Bob Acanfrio with today's tropical update on this is Wednesday evening, August 22nd, 2012. Well, really what we're going to talk about tonight, of course, is Tropical Storm Isaac. As of 8 p.m., we have maximum sustained winds at 45, movement west at 21 miles an hour. So here's the location, went through the islands today, or is still moving through the islands. And this is now the official forecast track by the National Hurricane Center. Little bit of switch from yesterday. You saw yesterday we were more along the east coast of Florida. Well, the cone has shifted a little west today as the models have really come into amazingly excellent agreement here. And I'll show you those in a minute, except for one model that's a little farther west, which I'll show you here in a second. But really good agreement here with Florida still the target here of our system. And it's really going to be interesting to see how much organization we get with Isaac, and really the key to whether it's going to come near Florida or get into the Gulf is really going to be how far south does it go as it passes here across Hispaniola, the Dominican Republic, and Haiti. You know, anything north here, if it starts taking this northern turn here and moving over to the Dominican Republic, then you could say, well, it might go east of Florida. But if we start seeing it really start heading south of the Dominican Republic and Haiti, then all bets are off, and this thing really could start sneaking into the Gulf. So really, we're going to watch. That's kind of my little point of reference here. We'll watch that in the next couple days. Also, how strong this system's going to get in the next few days is really going to show what track it takes. You know, if this system really starts ramping up here in the next few days, well, it might move a little farther north. But if it stays, you know, rather weak like it has been, we might see a farther south track on this cone, and then something more like this, and then maybe really start ramping up right in this area. A lot of obstacles ahead of it as far as strength goes. The intensity forecast is all over the charts. We have a lot of land that we might have to traverse here. Some drier air still in the mix the next few days. It's been very disorganized the last 24 hours. I'm going to show you that on satellite. So the intensity forecast really up in the air right now. Track is pretty solid right now. I like the National Hurricane Center track. I've been on Florida now for about 3 to 4 days now. I'm saying this thing is going to come pretty close to Florida, and it looks like it's going to. Then yesterday it was, well, is it going to come east or west? Well, now we're starting to trend that, you know, maybe a little west of Florida or right near the peninsula or somewhere, you know, so we're still there, still very happy with the track forecast, and the National Hurricane Center cone of concern looks pretty solid at this moment. Okay, let's start looking at some satellite views here. I've gotten a few in here. First, we'll look at the infrared channel 2 here, the shortwave infrared. I like this at night. A few things we saw today. Kind of saw two different centers of circulation here that the hurricane hunters were showing up here, and really hard to say which center is going to really win out. But if you look at these last few loops here, let me take off this last one because they're jumping they're kind of moving there we go. They're moving the satellite over to the left a little bit. But anyway, you can see tonight you're starting to see possibly this center, or, you know, there's been kind of multiple centers here kind of trying to wrap around here, and the new center might be forming to the north here maybe. We also see, you can see really good, look at the outflow. Great outflow here to its west, nice outflow to its south, pretty good outflow to its east. But look at this, it looks like it's almost got chopped off up here. And this is some of that drier air, still a little bit of northeasterly shear that's really pumping in that drier air. I'll kind of show you on the water vapor loop here. So it's almost like it has its head chopped off here. If you draw a line right here. And it's really been hurting this system. The speed of 21 miles an hour doesn't help it either. This thing's really going to have to slow down if it really wants to start, you know, organizing, and it will eventually. You know, this isn't a favorable area for development with these systems anyway. We saw that with Ernesto earlier this year, but this is definitely a larger system than Ernesto. This is a big one. And if this thing ever does get itself together, it could be a monster, and that's why we have to be concerned about this one. Yes, it's disorganized right now, but still it has great potential in the down the road. So that's what we have so far tonight. Put a little color on it. Everybody likes the colored loops. Let me take this last one off again here. And then you can see here, it's really starting to try to wrap. Let me take these last two off here. There we go. it's really starting to wrap this convection right around here, around this kind of mean. They've been using this mean center right in here, although it could be two separate circulation centers. And it looks like possibly the center is going to be right in here, in these last frames here. If you see the darkness here, these dark cold cloud tops might be wrapping around a new center trying to form right about here. And again, these little center shifts, that's going to shift the track a little bit here and there until we get a really consolidated center. So again, that's why there's the cone. Water vapor loop, and this is really going to show you that dry area. This is what I wanted to show you. If you look carefully, there's actually an upper level low up here. It's kind of pumping in that dry area. You can just watch it kind of pump it in from the northeast, and again kind of chopping this off right in here, the outflow. You can see the outflow kind of chopped off a little bit here, and that little bit has really disrupted the center. But you can see the last few frames, and we'll see what happens tonight, if this is going to be the trend. Maybe some deeper convection trying to wrap around. And again, it looks like the new center or the center is going to be right about in there. If you look to see where this is going to wrap right around, right up in there. Hurricane Hunters are actually in there in the system right now. And again, the system's not too exciting according to their recent calculations. So again, it's still trying to get itself together. All right, and just putting in the larger view here just to show you how big this system is. I mean, just look at this. You can see this upper level cyclone over it. It's very big, definitely bigger than Ernesto, and that's why the potential's there. You see this upper level low right here to its northeast. Again, if you look carefully, it's kind of pumping in some of that dry area to its northeast, but eventually that dry area should work out of it. It's just going to take a couple days. And again, we might see a hurricane here within about 24 to 48 hours, especially as it gets nearer to the south of Hispaniola. Here's our upper level Tut feature here near Cuba. But again, in between is that perfect area here of anticyclonic flow here above Isaac. So it's in a nice little spot right now. All right, model runs. Everybody wants to see models. Come on, show us the models. Let's go. All right, here we go. Definitely much better. I mean, you could just look at this and say, wow, look at this. These models are in pretty good agreement. Yellow here is the easternmost. This is the Canadian. Now, you saw the Canadian way out here yesterday. Well, it's come back west. We saw the GFDL, which is notoriously poleward in its movement. And this is the triangles here. Well, that's come west too. So now they're getting closer to everybody else. UK Met's been about the same. HWRF's right in here. Although I'll show you the latest HWRF. It's actually a little farther west and weaker. So we're going to just throw another. Actually, the HWRF's right in here. So it's still in the same spot, but weaker. Consensus is right here, and the National Hurricane Center track's right with, basically with consensus right now. And so you can see they've definitely clustered today more than they were yesterday. So pretty good agreement here with the model runs, and that's what we really like to see in the long range. And again, we'll see if it pans out here. Ensemble models, GFS ensembles, pretty much just like yesterday. Really not much change. Pretty much focused on Florida. I'd say, if anything, they moved a tad bit west than yesterday. So, you know, I would, if you had to look at here, maybe a little more in the Gulf than out of the Gulf. Not much east of Florida anymore. So again, that's telling you, hey, this has definitely come to Florida, but you cannot take the Gulf out of the woods yet. So, I mean, anywhere from Louisiana, basically anywhere from Louisiana to North Carolina, you got to be on guard with Isaac, of course, especially out in the long range. I mean, this still could come into the Gulf here, just as it could come just east of Florida and then maybe track up the coast here, maybe South Carolina, North Carolina. So still not out of the woods yet, but again, I'm kind of leaning towards the National Hurricane Center solution right now. I like it. Maybe even pull it even a little farther west. You never know. So it depends, again, if this storm stays a little weaker, might see something like this. So somewhere in that range there. And again, that would put Florida, if it did take this kind of track, we'd be on the east side here in Florida, and of course the nastiness of this system would be on the east side. So just something to think about with a storm like this. Euro model, again, the farthest west, just like yesterday, not much change, heading up towards Alabama, Louisiana, and the western panhandle here. And this is Wednesday morning, and then we'll show the GFS. Now the GFS, this is for Tuesday morning. So unlike yesterday where they were about 2 days, the Euro model was about 2 days slower. Now it's only about 1 day slower. So they're even coming into better agreement with as far as timing goes. And this is Tuesday morning, knocking on the door of Tampa. And this is the operational run of the GFS. Not much change from yesterday. And hot off the presses, this was the HWRF 18Z. And you can see not much development with this. Then it finally starts getting itself together here in the eastern Gulf of Mexico. So very interesting, a good possibility. You know, if this storm stays weak, could slip south of Hispaniola. And then there we go into the eastern Gulf. So it's definitely a possibility that's out there. And then intensity models, we've seen these kind of stay about the same the last day. Everybody's around that Cat 1 area. The ships has been going crazy today. They're back up towards the Cat 3, but the LGEM's been about Cat 1. And again, intensity could be all over the charts. We could see anything from and this is what I'm saying, as it gets near Florida, we could see anything from a tropical storm all the way up to a Category 2. I mean, it's really, the intensity is really the hardest part of this forecast, and it could go either way. You just got to prepare for the worst. If you're in the cone, start preparing now. That's the best advice I could give. And again, really quick here, shear. Again, I showed you upper level system here, upper system here, and in the middle we have that anticyclone. And I think today it got a little displaced to the left, west of our of Isaac, and we've had a little bit of northeasterly shear in there, and it's kind of dragged some of that drier air still into our system from the northeast. So we'll have to see. It's in a precarious position. It's in a nice position. I mean, nice if you want a big storm. If it could stay just like this, boy, you could just see the outflow channels that are going to develop on this thing. It really, I mean, it's in a perfect spot for good development. And just really got to get its core together and get that dry air out of there. And this thing really has potential to explode. So it's out there. And then again, just to show you where this is going, this is the kind of shows you the steering levels here, steering currents. And again, we're going to have our trough here. And this is going to have that weakness here in the western extent of the Bermuda High, or, you know, Bermuda Azores High, so Bermuda High, subtropical high. And as it starts moving this way, it's going to feel that weakness. And where is it going to go? You know, is it going to go into the Gulf? Is it going to come to Florida? Is it going to come just east of Florida? Again, I'm more towards peninsula westward right now. Maybe in this kind of area right in here. That's where I am at today. And really doesn't look like I'm going to change much. I right now, I could tell you right now, it doesn't look like this thing's going to go well east of Florida. I think you could take that solution probably almost out. Don't want to totally take it out. This thing could just suddenly explode and get itself together, move over Hispaniola, and then there it goes. So we're not totally taking that out yet, but I'm really more towards peninsula westward right now as far as track goes. So let's go. Just to go back to the track here one last time. Here's the official forecast track. And again, the main key here in the next few days is to see where it moves over Hispaniola, and then we'll get an idea of, you know, the track from there as far as the United States goes. If this starts taking that south route, then you know we could get into the Gulf. If it starts moving right over the Dominican Republic, then we might slip it just east of Florida. So that's really going to be the telltale here of where this is going to go. Again, I'm pretty much with the National Hurricane Center right now. I'm really much right in this area right in here, probably on more of the western edge of this cone. That's it for tonight. Again, we'll have another update tomorrow, probably later tomorrow afternoon and evening. Have a good night. And again, if you're in this cone and you're living in Florida, Bahamas here, this is the time to get your hurricane stuff in order and get prepared for this system. Have a good night.